Hello everybody, Tommy Ruin here and welcome back to AscensionCast, the Ascension podcast that goes over everything that's going on in Project Ascension. Joining me today, again, as always, is Epzilon and Aidalas. How are you doing, guys?
Doing well, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm enjoying that there's a lot to do in the game. Epsilon, how are you doing? Hello
I'm doing
everybody,
fine.
Tommy
Just
Ruin here
farming
and
primal mana.
welcome back to Ascension. Give me one second. The Ascension podcast. Hadn't muted one of my streams. The beauty of live broadcasting. Carry on, Epsilon.
I'm just farming because what else is TBC but farming?
Yeah, there's so much to do. We got reps to farm. We've got profession materials to farm. There's so much to do in game. We got dungeons to do. We got a hell of a lot of dungeons to do. So should we just jump straight in and talk about what we did when we stepped through the dark portal? Were you guys there both on launch?
I was.
You were?
I was still at work.
You were still at work. Okay. So Epsilon, were you at the dark portal when the server launched? Like, did you step through with everyone else?
I did. It was very fun.
Was it quite a cool thing to be a part of? Because I was not there.
Yeah, it was just like it was just even with the areas that weren't what are they like? Like even though areas that weren't sanctuaries, it was just kind of like everyone like for the first minute we're like we're not just gonna be each other. We're all just gonna run in. Everyone's gonna go. Then the bloodbath begins.
And was there a lot of PvP in the starting zones?
I actually I heard a lot of world chat drama, so I'd imagine there were some people getting beat up. But my strategy was to run straight to Zangarmarsh to avoid the giant initial rush.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
my
true.
leveling experience was mostly very peaceful.
Okay. Yeah, because Zangarmarsh is like a level 60 plus zone, really, isn't it? You don't have to start in Hellfire. That's good. So, Aylis, when you started was it a few hours later, or?
Um, let's see. It was about half hour after I got off work, so maybe it was about 3 or 4 hours after the initial launch.
Right, okay. And was it still very busy?
Yeah, I still saw people doing their thing in Hellfire. I started in Hellfire just because I remember doing that when I first played, 12 years ago. So I just did what I knew.
And did it bring back a lot of old memories from
Oh
12
yeah.
years ago? That's good. That's good. I think we were discussing before we went live, and especially from our point of view, playing on Underhall, now named Kill Jaden, the launch was pretty flawless, wasn't it? There were very little downtime, and the lag was minimal at best. I thought the launch went really, really well on Ascension's behalf.
I think, and this is too much of a praise, I would say, they did a better launch than Blizzard did when they released TBC.
I must say that they do have probably a hundredth of the population, but yeah, it was pretty smooth. It was pretty smooth. That's just for us though, because there were problems with other servers, which we will maybe talk about later. So you guys did questing. I did the dungeoning, and so our group we leveled as a 5, and we had this pre-set up route which we were going to go on, leveling through Hellfire Ramparts first, then a few levels in Blood Furnace, and then we went to Sethic Halls, I think, just to see if we could get to level 70 first. Now, that obviously didn't pan out, and we all know, us three know who got level 70 first. But we were ahead, our dungeon group, up until around 66, I think, and then they nerfed the dungeon XP. So we were left in the dust by Gortaron.
Yeah, are you sure? Are you sure you guys didn't just run out of rested experience?
No, we were really burning through, because rested doesn't take you over a level, does it? We were
No,
up
I
to
think it was like
60.
10% of your total.
We were up to 64 or 65 when it started slowing down, and that was after the realm went down. So I think we were still out of rested. We had a big boost to start with the rested XP, but yeah, once the realm went down, dungeon XP just plummeted.
If I recall correctly, because I was in Discord with Goddard as he was just chilling leveling, and once he hit the lead, he's like, wait a minute, and he just according to him, he kind of just like at 66 left where he was farming, which was an area in Hellfire Peninsula that spawns a bunch of birds supposedly.
Yep. Vultures, hence the name. People in the chat were confused about the name, but that's where the name came from, because he was farming vultures, wasn't he?
I think he was.
Yeah, I think he was just spamming fan of knives, killing vultures.
Realm first strat.
He
Right
left.
there.
He left for 45 minutes and gave the spot to a guildie, and then came back when he realized there was no other farm spots. It was just pretty funny. Supposedly they had known about that and they just like forgot to implement a fix. But I guess world first isn't necessarily won by the person that tries the hardest. It's the person who finds the biggest cheese the fastest.
Well, yeah. So, do you know if he had any of these bonus zones? Because there are quite a lot of leveling bonuses that are available, isn't there? So you've got the bonus zones, which are double XP, and then you've also got the Titan scrolls. And there's one, I can't remember which Titan it is, but that gives an extra 50% experience from kills.
That's Norganon.
Right, Norganon, yeah.
Yeah, Norganon was up the entire day pretty much. I would say that led to a very large contribution to his victory.
Because you don't get those Titan bonuses when you're in dungeons. So 50% extra killing XP plus any extra XP that you get from bonus zones if they crop up in your area, then yeah, you are really sailing.
Yeah, I think he did like 5 quests.
Which is kind of crazy, really.
Hero of Ogremar, Bird Slayer.
Yeah, yeah. It's protecting Thrallmar from all the vultures out in Hellfire Peninsula. So
That's right.
Do you guys think that the leveling experience was as you were hoping it? Were you hoping it would be slower? Were you hoping that it wouldn't just be a massive Zerg rush to 70? What were you expecting, and did it live up to your expectations?
Me personally, I would expect it to be as slow it was, 10, 12 years ago. But seeing how people play nowadays, considering like WoW Classic has been released, people would just be doing what is optimal and just getting as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and do you think for the average player, because I still see lots of people out there leveling. I was running around doing quests today because they added in orbs back to quests, and we'll talk about that a bit later. And there's still a load of people out there doing quests. So do you think for like the average player who's maybe not got a goal to reach when it comes to endgame stuff, that they are going to be playing a more Blizz-like experience in a way?
I think they might take their time, seeing how content is still being kind of
staggered.
Yeah, that they're just going to take their time, I guess, pace themselves. Some of them might have been working, so they couldn't have played for like the first 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. So you think there's people who, if they wanted to really push it, they could, but they're taking it slow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Yeah, because my goal was just to hit 70, but only to quest in the zones I like. Like I think I went from 60 to like 66 in Zangarmarsh.
Wow.
I got the zone achievement. It only took a while because there was some quest I had to do where I had to get like stalker tendrils, and the item has like a 5% drop rate, and I must have killed like 150 of those monsters.
So you were doing the same as the vultures, but on bog stalkers.
Yeah, but they don't respawn nearly as fast.
No. And one thing which was constantly popping up when we were leveling up and going through the zones were these realm first achievements. Do you think that a lot of them are a load of fluff, or do you like the ones that they've added in?
I think it's a load of fluff.
I would agree with you on the ones that are like exploration, probably crafting.
Yeah, the crafting one is kind of annoying.
I think that the first crafts of epics are cool. Like the first person to get thunder is kind of cool. Somebody got the first Deep Thunder the other day. I think that if they did individual zone fully explores rather than just like if you explored all of Zangarmarsh, for example, rather
Yeah.
than just each individual
Subzone.
zone, I think that would have been better. And we should have had one for individual quests, lore master subquests as well. I think that would have been cool.
So instead of so you get Explorer of Zangarmarsh as the whole thing, and doing the quest objective in Zangarmarsh as well. That'll get you realm first.
Yeah, I think that I think those are like meaningful bits of progress that should be rewarded rather than you found a random swamp.
Yeah, I think the world the realm first exploration ones are very questionable as to how much of an achievement it is. It's just who runs there first, really, because everyone's going there. But I do like the leveling ones. I really enjoyed the leveling race thing that they put in, showing who was the highest level of each. So who was the highest in terms of getting to level 70, and then the highest for Blood Elves and Draenei. I think that they were pretty cool additions to the game. So you could track and see how close you were. So we were running dungeons, and I could see like Gordoron had got 66, and I was like, oh, he's overtaken us. We need to really speed up if we want to get realm first 70. And I thought that was a really cool thing to do, because it really did add to the feeling that there was a race going on, and people were racing. So I thought that was a nice addition. I also think the dungeon ones are pretty cool, seeing who's cleared the dungeons first. And I'm assuming there will be raid ones as well, which would be very nice.
I'd hope so.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense, wouldn't it? And it would be a bit weird if they had heroic dungeon clears and not realm ones. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. So do you guys think, because there was a lot of people who ended up AoE grinding when I was leveling and we'd finished doing our dungeons, and we were like, okay, people are leveling so much faster out in the world. I'm going to start AoE grinding now because it's much quicker. Do you think that... Oh, I'm not sure, actually. Has the AoE grinding been nerfed already?
Only specific zones, like the birds where their wings were clipped, so to speak. I think the problem comes from dynamic respawns, because when there's like 1,000 people in... when there's like 1,000 people in Hellfire Peninsula, being a little overstating. But when there's 1,000 people, the birds respawn instantly and just like doesn't have to move. There's multiple spawn points, doesn't even need to use them.
Yeah.
Just basically spams Fan of Knives until his fingers get tired.
Get one of those nodding birds to press his keybind.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I swapped to AoE leveling in Shadowmoon Valley at 66 or 67. And it was incredibly fast. I was getting, 10% of a level per pull? Which is crazy speed. And it just comes from those bonuses, I guess. So I'm thinking, I might just have to level some alts to take advantage of this. Because at the moment, I've got 6 alts or 5 alts that are sat in Area 52, crafting Spellcloth. But I can't kill the wraiths that come afterwards, and I'm thinking I might just take advantage of this AoE leveling, grind them up to 70 so I can get those extra primals that drop.
You could if you had some friends who were also doing it.
I don't have any friends.
I'm sorry. You could hypothetically just get you all in a group. And then just use a 70 to effectively boost you all.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So what we did, because I got to 70... like one of the first ones out of our group, our leveling group. So I ended up just running around, following them around as they tagged, and AoE'd stuff down afterwards just to add to their XP gain. So I guess you could do that with alts as well, couldn't you?
Yeah, that's like a classic. That's like a classic leveling strat.
Yeah, and it'll be so good here. So I think it's just worth noting for anyone who is listening that if you are leveling up and you want to level up quick, AoE grinding is probably the way to go, and faster than questing. So one thing which they've added to questing, and I don't know if you guys probably leveled after this change, was the fact that they've added orbs and marks of ascension to quests. Now, this was something that wasn't there on the launch of TBC, and a lot of people have gone through and done all the quests, and now they've added orbs to these quests, which they've already done. So they don't benefit from any of these orbs which have been added. And there's no other real way of generating orbs in TBC content, and all of the old orb shard events have been taken out. So what do you guys think has gone on here? Do you think that that's really unfair on the people who have done questing, and how can they solve this problem?
The first thing I asked, because I was in World Chat when it was mentioned that this was being implemented. I asked if this was retroactive, and he said I can't do that. Whether or not that's actually true is, I don't know. I'm not here to debate that, but it does kind of suck because there's someone in our guild who effectively did Lore Master except for Shadow Moon Valley because there's simply not enough quests enabled yet to unlock it.
Right.
And they're kind of out of luck.
Yeah, I mean, because I spent today, I was getting quite low on orbs. I spent today getting some rep via questing, and I ended up with plus 200 orbs due to these quests, and I was doing it for a few hours. So it is an insane way of getting orbs at the moment if you haven't done the quests. And it does just feel really bad if you would have done those quests, I would have imagined. How many quests, Epsilon, have you done, would you say, when you were leveling up?
Easily over 100.
Yeah.
I got the quest, or I got the achievement for completing quests in Zengarmarsh, and I probably was more than halfway done the one in Nagaran by the time I hit 70.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that is just really bad if for the people who have already done it, and there seems to be no way of them solving it for those people. I mean, there must be a way that they can check who's done what, and they can reward people based on that.
Sure, but do we know that they're going to do it?
No. They've said no. They've
Right.
said they're not doing it retroactively. However, I think that there's a more reasonable solution to this. For those people, I think if they were to add, this is just my opinion. You're free to disagree with me, but I think they should add half a stack of orb shards. I mean 5 orb shards to every death to a boss in a normal. In addition, because they don't drop anything right now.
Yeah.
In addition to the end of completion bonus. And I think they should ramp up the completion bonus for heroics, because heroics are very difficult right now.
Oh yeah.
And make it so you get the bonus, the full bonus, whether or not you queue for a specific dungeon or for a random heroic.
Yeah, I mean, that's something which we can go on to talk about next, I guess, because dungeons and the difficulty and what they reward is very much lacking, I think. And I think you're right. The fact that dungeon bosses don't seem to drop... Well, they do now. They drop an orb, a single orb, don't they?
Only heroic bosses, though.
So heroic bosses drop a single orb, which, I mean, I had a group, we spent over 2 hours trying to do a heroic today. Don't ask, but we spent over 2 hours in Underbog today. And to get 3 orbs out of that...
Dude, real talk, we spent about 3.5 hours in Shattered Halls, and we couldn't beat Kargath.
It's tough, isn't it? It's tough out there.
It was tough for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kargath wasn't really the problem in our experience. It was the 2-headed ogre boss before him.
Oh yeah, he's a nightmare. He is difficult.
His threat mechanic is really strange, and we eventually got it, but it was just like, and then no one needed what dropped, and it's just like, why?
What is the point of being here? Because so initially on launch, bosses had no orb drops, no badge drops. So the reason for doing them was for the loot, and obviously that's on a really low drop percentage chance. So if you don't get anything that you need, you don't get any of the extra rewards that you'd normally expect to get from doing a heroic dungeon. So you don't get your orbs, you don't get your badges. So spending 2 hours to do that just feels really unnecessary, really. I mean, we didn't do Shattered Halls Heroic, I don't think, on the first day that they released, because we were like, what's the point? It's not going to give us anything.
Like, instead of doing Shattered Halls Heroic, we could have just done Shattered Halls normal 40 times and gotten the recipe drop off the final boss, and all probably got exalted.
Yeah.
With Honor Hold / Lawmar.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good change that they've added in badges, because that's the right thing for them to have done. It should have been there at launch. But the orbs definitely need to be upped from heroic bosses, I think. I would have said like 3 orbs per boss is not unreasonable. 3 or 4 orbs.
I think
they could also... Sorry about that.
You talk.
They could have you hand in your marks of ascension for either shards or full orbs.
Yeah, so what have they done with marks of ascension now?
Okay, there's a game mechanic. This was enabled before, like the week or so before launch. If you have a low amount of orbs or runes, you can talk to Nizdormu and exchange 200 marks of ascension. Each quest you do now gives 100 marks of ascension for a set of orbs and runes. I don't think that runes are particularly important, because effectively 1 rune is worth
2.5 gold.
2.5 gold. But orbs are obviously different, because like, what's it cost, like 300 plus gold to apply a legendary if you have no orbs?
Yeah, I mean, you can now apply orbs with gold, and I think their costing is 15 gold per orb.
That's really expensive.
So if you didn't have any orbs in your currency, so you didn't have any orbs, you would be spending 45 gold per green, for example. So they are fairly pricey, and to Aria full set of 17 slots, that's going to soon add up in gold cost. So yeah, definitely orbs are the things that are needed in the game and in circulation. I just don't understand why there is no orb events and normal dailies. Like, I can understand the normal dailies maybe because they haven't got... we've got a lot of other stuff to do in the game at the moment. We've got materials to farm and dungeons to do and whatever. But the orb events, like we had with the Plaguewood and killing the Scarlet Crusade, I think those are things that should be in the game right now.
Maybe they turn them off is because they want to encourage more people to stay in Outlands, which encourages more world PvP.
Yeah, no, I understand why they turned them off. I just don't understand why they didn't make new ones.
I thought they did with the stuff in the it was like it was in Netherstorm. You have to fight like a point or something to like hold, and then you have like an orb that you picked up, and then you have to like take it back to base.
I haven't seen that.
It was in one of their videos. It might not be enabled.
Right, okay. Is that like a PvP event though? Is that a high risk event? Oh, okay, so it's not. We're not going to see that.
I think it might be high risk.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we're going to be seeing those. I'm just confused as to why they haven't got those out in the world hour-long events, because this is something this change to quests where they added in orbs afterwards seems like a massive afterthought to the problem, which was their own creation. And I mean, even I was telling them there's going to be a shortage of orbs. You need to do something about this, and nothing was changed. It seems like a weird afterthought.
I remember Dutch saying something to that. I think he said that you guys have gold, right?
Possibly, but not everyone has gold.
Right, but I'm still mystified at the people who have like 5 gold, especially at the start of or at the end of TBC, so to speak, when you hit 70, that you don't have more than 5 gold.
Well, yeah, you're right. Once you finish questing, because you don't really need REs to quest, then you should be fine to do some random enchanting. And for those people who are starting now, the orb problem is definitely not a problem, because you will end up with hundreds upon hundreds of orbs when you hit 70. So they have definitely solved it. Whether or not they'll remove these orbs from quests, I don't know. But I'm very happy that it has been added because I didn't do any quests while leveling.
Actually, what they did add was they added a chance for world mobs to drop orb shards.
Have you noticed that? Because I've been farming a lot for primals.
Very little.
Yeah, I haven't seen many shards drop. It's probably the same as you would normally get in vanilla.
I think they didn't increase the drop rate. They just activated it to allow it to drop.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's I was expecting them to drop a lot faster when I saw that announcement. So that's that's a weird one because I thought that orbs would have dropped anyway, and this was increasing the chance, but it seems that they were not dropping, and they're now dropping. So going back to dungeons then, because we segued away there. How was your experience being with dungeons, and which ones have you done? Have you done all the heroics now? What kind of groups are you running with?
Most of my parties have been with Eps, but our tank was kind of behind for a while, so we kind of had to like have Gadaron kind of like semi-tank
Right.
for normals.
Yeah. Okay.
It was kind of scuffed, but we did it.
Normals should be all right. So you two, what specs are you guys playing?
I personally still don't know.
Are you healing?
I'm still kind of weighing
or
my
are you
options.
DPSing?
Healing. Switching between just trying different specs with like. I'm trying to feel for like my spec. Like I want to play the one that I want to play. So I've been switching between kind of like renew with power word shield and like healing touch and a few hots.
Healing touch is I really like it. I think it's quite good in a good spot.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
And what about you, Eps? What are you playing? Are you still playing Smite?
Yeah, but I wouldn't exactly call it Smite right now since all I'm doing is casting Holy Nova and normals.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I know what you mean. The normals, I think, difficulty wise, they haven't been changed. I don't think from the retail values, have they?
No clue.
Because they are incredibly easy.
Actually, some of the bosses, even though they might simulate like vanilla TBC in terms of like how much stats they have, their mechanics have been changed.
Yes. I noticed that in Shadow Labs.
Who was it at Eps that we noticed last night who was doing something different? Instead of mind controlling, he made us run around laying fire.
Yeah, that's in Shadow Labs.
Yeah, we were fighting Blackheart the Inciter, and he has a weird mechanic where he makes you all run away and you put fire on the ground, which is actually kind of cool.
It was a really cool mechanic. It wiped us the first time round, actually, because we just weren't expecting it, and we just started moving because it's not something you can control. You just move forward, don't you? And we ended all just crossing streams and yeah.
You know what's funny? That reminded me. I think they used the same, I guess, like mechanic they used for Hegan, where he just made you run really fast.
Yes. Yeah.
So I like that they're kind of like reincorporating some of the mechanics that they've customly made.
Yeah, and I think that one will be very difficult on heroic, won't it?
Unless he does more things.
Oh, possibly. I did hear that because what was he meant to do? A mind control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that on private servers in general is quite broken, as in it doesn't work. So maybe that was the reason that they changed it to this, which I would say is more arguably a fun mechanic, because I don't think mechanics where you just lose control of your character are very fun.
That, and I think because of the mind control, you literally just wipe your entire party.
Yeah, true. If you end up getting mind controlled and then when you're mind controlled, you pop all your cooldowns and just burn someone. It's not fun. You can't really do anything about that.
The classic.
Sorry, that was a lot of issues they had back in vanilla on Ascension. A lot of the mechanics that they couldn't I guess, do anything with, they just kind of threw in mind control, and it was really annoying.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of mind control in these dungeons, so I'm glad there's at least one less mind control
I mean,
mechanic to work with.
Well, in place of that, there's threat drops now.
Yeah, which are another awful mechanic. Have you noticed threat being a problem? What tank are you running with normally? Do you remember the bear?
No bear.
No bear.
Both of our tanks are shield tanks.
Okay, and how's that working out?
I would say okay. In most cases, they out DPS us.
Says you.
Thunder Fury? I don't know, man.
Okay, so the threat for them isn't too much of a problem.
No, it's decent. The thing that does kind of hit us in the nuts is the random threat drops,
Yeah.
or like switching of threat tables, and then switching backs where it's just annoying. Like what was his name? Eps, the one with the two heads.
Yeah, the guy from Shouted Halls. Give me one.
Yeah,
second.
that guy.
Yeah, I know which one you mean, and I can definitely agree that the threat drop mechanics just that you can't really plan around, can you? Unless they drop threat, you do nothing and wait for the tank to rebuild up threat, which is just sitting back and doing nothing, taking time away from the game is not fun.
So that's the one thing that kind of like puzzles me. They nerfed Feign Death. But in its place, they force you to still pick up Feign Death because of these random mechanics where you're forced to like sit on the ground.
Yeah. Well, I think they've almost doubled down on threat, and that they've nerfed tank threat generation, and they've also nerfed the threat drop abilities that DPS and healers can get. Because I've noticed in my heroics that threat is a bigger problem than it ever used to be on both sides. Tanks aren't generating as much, apart from if you're a bear, and DPS are generating a lot more. Because we spoke about this before, didn't we? They removed the 30% on Shadow Form and Moonkin.
Yeah.
So DPS are generating more threat, tanks are generating less threat, and then they've also nerfed our threat drop abilities. It just feels like a weird balancing position to be in.
Yeah, and they talk about like trying to steer us away from like mandatory talents. Things like fanaticism and maybe like improve fade, or I guess for some cases, might be a better option than even using like an epic RE slot for ethereal form.
Yeah.
I was about to say, smells like you should invest in some fanaticism.
Oh, so I was running with 50% increased threat reduction, and I was still having problems with Feign Death, Fade, and what else was I using?
Vanish?
Yeah, Vanish on cooldown. Shadow is a threat machine, my friends.
That it is. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know if they're intended to like buff us in terms of like people who are doing more threat generation, like tanks, buff them higher later within, I guess, the lifespan of what we're currently at. So pre-tier what are we, 4? Pre-tier 4, where they're just going to release it, and then I think just as tier 4 is settling in terms of it being open, they might buff threat generation depending on how they see like the numbers and metrics on how many guilds are going through it, how many guilds have failed at certain bosses, why they're failing at certain bosses, any bugs.
Yeah, it's something that I think they definitely need to look at from my experience in heroics, at least. Like I said, different tanks are at different levels at the moment, and bears, you guys seem like you haven't run with a bear yet, and I haven't run with a shield tank yet, so I can't really say about shield tanks, but bears definitely, compared to two-hand tanking, the threat gen is night and day in terms of how much better bears are.
As far as I know, our tank doesn't want to touch bear at all.
Right. Okay. So
I think he's going to do whatever he can to make shield tanks like the best it can be, but ultimately we're at the mercy of Ascension staff. So
yeah. So have you guys got any good loot from dungeons yet? Have you seen anything good drop?
Nothing but standard really. We got we got a few of the hourglass from Black Morass.
Is that the healer one?
No, it's the one that when you crit you gain like 300 attack power.
Oh yeah, the melee one. Sorry, yeah,
Or is it haste? It's haste.
Yeah, the melee one. That is really really good.
I think we got a few of those, and I think one went to Froppy.
Oh, okay.
Just because she wanted the extra crit chance.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now there is a healer one that drops from Black Morass as well. I think that when you it procs on your heals, you get a big haste proc. I think it's when you heal, you get a haste proc. There's obviously that one in is it Slave Pens or Underbog maybe, the DPS caster haste trinket. Oh, Quagmoron. Yeah. Is it Quagmoron's Eye? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I haven't done heroic underbog yet, but I need it.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for as well. So I've switched from Shadow back to that Wrath Cat spam build. I don't know if you saw the video I made about it, and it's insane. But I want all the crit I can get now. To be honest, I'm fairly stacked out on haste. But yeah, my god, some of the dungeon loot like that, and the trinkets in general really are pretty strong, aren't they? Because obviously our main tier pieces, or our chest on our legs and whatnot, are going to be filled with crafted items. So it is really like the trinkets, the rings, the weapons that we are looking for at this point in time. And there are some good pieces out there, that's for sure.
Gotta say, dungeon gear became a lot more desirable after they disabled PvE power on epics.
Yes, yeah, there was that announcement went out, and I was like, well, it's time to remove my my tier 3. It lasted me a good day.
I think they did that a little too early.
I don't know.
It feels like the developers are playing really reactionary right now.
Yeah.
They probably saw going in the heroics, like people still using 5 out of 5 Avengers because it's just better than having 3 out of 3 of the RE that lets Hammer of the Righteous work with spell power. They probably were just like, they're not going the new gear. We want them to do it, but instead of giving us like a countdown or a warning, they're just like, well, do it live.
Yeah, you're right in that it is a very reactionary way of doing things, and I think if they were, that this is something that either should have gone in at the start, or like they should have just disabled PvE power on level 60s gear at level 70, and that should have just been announced before we launched. So then you can use it while leveling, you can pick up pieces, you wouldn't vendor them off, and you would have to change gear set when you hit level 70.
That also goes hand in hand with not having the orbs, so people didn't switch out from what they had.
Yeah,
from tier 3.
Yeah, because you didn't have to RE that gear, did you?
Right.
So you were used to not running with random enchants. Yeah. So I've done a few heroics now, and like I said earlier today, we spent a good few hours in there. What do you think the difficulty is like? Do you think it's too hard for our current gear levels, or do you think that it's just right?
I feel like if we're complaining about things like Shattered Halls and then what will later be Shadow Labs, I feel like we're genuinely undergeared for that territory, because I believe those, correct me if I'm wrong, but they weren't really designed for level 70 raiders or players who hadn't raided yet, because they were already like level 70 dungeons, and then you make the heroic already level 70 dungeons. But like stuff like Ramparts, which was the only one we completed, it felt okay, but it's just all of the threat resets on all the trash, and the like charging the boss does, the first boss does. The other 2 bosses were really easy. We really only struggled with the first boss.
Here's the issue with that, though. The issue of not being at, like, I guess the gear level or whatnot is irrelevant, because they did testing with us having the required amount of gear on the test server.
Yeah, It was tuned around with the experience which we had on Twisting Nether, wasn't it?
Yeah, which was like blues and stuff from quests.
Yeah.
And some from dungeons, and they said, take all this gear only, and throw yourself into heroics and see if you can do it. And if you can't, tell us why.
Yeah, but we had most of us were using Naxxramas gear with no REs and no PvE power, I think, by the time we went and did it. So we were arguably weaker.
Where are you picking up things like CC and actively CCing?
We didn't do it in Ramparts, but we certainly had to start CCing when we tried Shadow Labyrinth. Or not Shadow Labyrinth,
Shadowed Halls.
Shadowed Halls.
Yeah.
That place is unfun.
I think the fact that we have to use CC now is quite a good place to be in, and obviously this content will become easier over time. Like you said, it's not... Well, when Blizzard released it, it wasn't content that you were supposed to be able to do fresh out of the box. It was content that you work towards and is something that will become more accessible once you've got more gear. So I think I'm quite happy with the state that they're in. They're not something that you can just do in 10 minutes and that's that. You have to devote some time to it. And the more gear you get and the more knowledge you get onto the trash and the mechanics of the bosses, the quicker your runs will get. So I think they are in quite a good place at the moment, and I think this is probably the place that they want them to be, because they mentioned while we were testing them they wanted them to be difficult. The only thing I would say is that the rewards for them in terms of the extra things that Ascension is known for, like Mystic, the orbs and things and runes and things like that, aren't being rewarded. So I think if they were to add something like that to make them even more rewarding, because currently it's just the gear that's the reward, I think that would be a good thing to do, and then they'll be in a good place.
Yeah, I still think they need to do a little bit more fine-tuning on some of these heroics. So some bosses are still bugged from the alpha server or beta server, whatever you want to call it. I think just a slight tuning is still needed, or adjustments. So I'm assuming that'll happen within a month.
Yeah, hopefully. And hopefully these threat drop mechanics just go out the window.
Go away.
So let's turn our eyes to professions then and discuss what's going on with those. So we discussed in a previous episode about professions and why they are very good for TBC content. How are you guys getting on with profession alt leveling, and are you in the place that you wanted to be at this point in time?
Honestly, no. I have my tailors set up to make out spellfire recipe or spellfire cloth, but I haven't had time to level my gather or get my alchemists running with those herbs, just because there's just so much to get done.
There is, yeah.
The way I put this is it feels like there's so much I could be doing that every time I'm doing something, I feel bad because I could be doing something else arguably just as important.
Yeah. The amount of times I've put off doing things like professions because someone's been like, do you want to go do a dungeon? I'm like, yeah, go on then. And then my professions get left for another few hours, and the same thing will happen afterwards. I've found no time to actually sit down and farm out primals, really. I've only done that for about an hour, I think. And I only recently got my profession alts leveled up to be in a position where they could start pumping out spellcloth. And you are absolutely right. There's just so much going on right now, which will settle down over time. But there's so much going on. I haven't really been able to focus much on what I want to do with my professions yet. What about you, Aidalas?
I'm pretty much in the same boat. I'm literally just going around trying to get as much materials as I can to level up my enchanting and tailoring profession up to max. I'm stuck at 367, so I'm still trying to get over that hurdle.
Tailoring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I found it quite a difficult one to level up. I had to go out and find some recipes on it's a limited stock recipe in Shadowmoon Valley that I managed to snag when the server restarted to get to the final few levels on my tailoring, which was nice.
Yeah, you would think that there'd be more. Speaking of like professions like that, you think there'd be way more. There'd be way more like primal mites going around. I haven't seen very many in circulation. Is that a limited stock recipe as well?
It is, yeah, and I know there's one of my guildies has been like every time the server goes down, he's like, quick, go to the vendors and check the primal might. Apparently, there's one person who's just buying them out as soon as the server goes up, so they're controlling the stock of primal might effectively that way.
Primal Mafia?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Primal
basically.
Mafia.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe they'll sell off the recipes for like 1,000 gold each. Yeah, because those are important things to get, aren't they? The primal mites for crafted gear. So having those on a limited stock vendor is an interesting way of. Well, it would have been an interesting way for Blizzard to implement it, wasn't it?
Don't give him ideas, please.
I believe the system for primal mites is actually a. I think that's like a Blizzard specific thing that I just didn't change.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think that is right. Yeah. Yeah. It was. I think it's always been on the limited stock vendors. So they didn't allow the tradesman scrolls things to be used until people had maxed out all professions. So the tradesman scrolls, for those who don't know, are a DP item, so you can buy it in the store, and it maxes out your profession to, well, maximum. That's what maxing out means. So you initially got 300 out of 300 at vanilla, and I was assuming, and I'm fairly sure the item says that you get 300 skill points in a certain profession, but upon using it, you now get 375, which, knowing how long and like costly it is to level up your professions at this point in time, what do you guys think about that? Because it seems like maybe it's not meant to do that. Maybe it's meant to stay at 300 and the coding's wrong. It just maxes it out. I don't know. Do you guys think that it's a problem?
I personally think that it should have set you to 350, because 350 is when stuff starts getting really tough. And like, for example, one of my guild members, he's trying to raise blacksmithing, is just needs so many primals to make one item that isn't even necessarily guaranteed to give him crafting experience. And it's just like, well, you can either deal with that, or you can say, never mind, and I'm just going to go buy it. For better or for worse.
What do you think, Aidalas?
I don't know what to tell you, man. They've also put things like, a way to give you max flying for the same thing.
Yeah, that was something which I wasn't expecting.
I kind of expected it, but not this soon.
No. We were discussing this before as well, and it feels like it's very mixed messages coming out of the store and what this seems to be the way that they want to go, because they want to nerf gold, not nerf, but reduce the amount of gold in circulation. But then they add things that are like the biggest gold sink, like you said before we started recording. The biggest gold sink in TBC at this time is epic flying. And now you can buy it with real money, keeping that gold in circulation. And it just feels like if they're going to get rid of our gold, which was a real threat at one point, surely the best way of doing that is by making us spend our gold on things in-game instead of spending gold in real life.
Right, and I was expecting them to maybe increase the cost of the gold for epic writing and whatnot to maybe like 10k.
That would have been a bad idea.
I understand. I know it's a bad idea, but I thought they were going to do something like that versus just like have everyone's gold, which would hurt everyone else except for those who are in the upper tier of being rich.
Yeah.
Because they would still have more gold than the other like 75% of the population.
And I mean, the gold, I'm fairly sure the gold sync vendor, which was supposed to be a limited time thing that got removed on TBC launch, is still in the game.
It is? I thought that it was gone.
I'm fairly sure when I was in Booty Bay today, I saw it.
Oh.
Or yesterday. It was definitely there post the launch of TBC. Put it like that.
In my opinion, and I don't know if Epps mentioned this, they have added new things for Gold Sync, especially for like I guess raiders, is to buy the raid markers for 10K. I think that is a better direction than what they were going to do.
Yeah, and I would agree. Adding in things like that, because initially they were just added to the store, weren't they? Those raid markers.
Yeah.
Which is obviously something that's very bad. It gives people an advantage over others at the cost of real life money. But the fact that now they're in the game and it's a level playing field for all, I think is a good place for them to be. And you're right, it is a gold sink. I mean, our guild has bought some from the vendor, so it is something that is taking gold out of the economy.
Anything they can do to give gold to NPCs rather than give gold to make gold change hands would be probably very good for the server right now.
Yeah.
As TBC introduces a lot of things, like there's a lot of trading going on, but other than flying, there isn't necessarily a lot of gold is introduced into the game, but other than flying, there's no way to like take it out.
Yeah, you're right. Ascension's custom mechanics and increased drop chances and whatnot pump in a lot of extra gold into the game that normally in a normal Blizz-like private server or TBC server wouldn't be there. So you're right. The amount of gold being generated is much higher. But
speaking of gold in DP. I don't know if you know this. They reduced the, I guess, writing mounts down to like 40 gold.
What do you mean?
Epic writing.
Epic writing.
It's 40 gold.
If you're exalted.
Yeah.
So sorry, is that 100% mount speed?
Yes.
It's 40.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was down from what, 1,000 without any rep.
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a Blizzard-like change they did in Wrath, though.
Okay. Sure.
So they just kind of did it.
Though you have to look at it on the DP store that they have to reduce the DP cost for those because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I know what you mean. It's a big bait for people who buy it from the store.
Right.
It's the same with those bags. The 25 slot or 24 slot bags for 25 DP. When you can buy infinite 22 slot bags for the same price, I believe.
I imagine that that's going to probably go away soon.
You would hope so. Yeah, TBC Alpha access should go.
Well, we could all look forward to Wrath of Lich King Alpha access.
Coming soon to a store near you.
I too want to pay 150 DP for 4 roars. Bags of endless resist gear storage.
Yeah.
Might consider it, real talk.
Yeah, no, that's a good investment, I would say. Let's go back to talking about what we've been doing at level 70. Let's talk about reputations and how we're getting on working on those. So how are you guys getting on? What's your strategy for rep? Is it doing all the quests and finishing it off with dungeons, doing it all in dungeons and forgetting about the quests?
2 words. Reputation pots.
Now, as he said, now that reputation potions are enabled because of some crazy people in the first few days, my hat's off to you. Because they weren't enabled until all of the major factions were exalted.
Which means they've been playing really sweaty.
Yeah, well, I imagine if you focused on one, because it's not one person has to get them all, is it? It's one. All of them have to be exalted by a number of
regardless
people.
of who it is.
Yeah.
But like some of the somebody has the Kuranai / the Maghar exalted, the Consortium, stuff like that. The only ones I think that weren't required were the Shatari Skyguard, the Netherwing dragons and all of the raid factions because they're
Not unlocked.
you can't get any of them up yet beyond neutral.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. People have been going pretty hard at it. I remember seeing the guy who got the first Sporagar exalted. I think that was probably on the first day or the day after. And he was really sad because the title reward is the achievement name is the Tsar of Sporagar. And I think he was hoping, because there's a lot of custom titles that go out with a lot of Realm Firsts, that he was going to get that title. And I was like, was there a title attached to that? And he's like, no, sad face. I wasted so much time on this.
You know what? He could fight for it.
He should fight for it, because being the Tsar of Sporagar is going to be something really cool, I think.
I like the Sporagar.
I like that.
They're like friendly friendly fungus people.
Yeah.
No. Alright, real talk, I hate Zangarmarsh as a zone.
Why?
You have a bad opinion.
It reminds me of mold, and I hate mold.
The Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah.
No, I'm a big fan of it, actually. I do quite like it. And I agree with Epsilon. I do like Sporagar. They were the first rep I went and actively did once I hit level 70. I don't know why. I think I got to level 70. I was like, right, what do I do now? I have no idea. I've never played TBC before. So I went and just did Sporagar for a bit.
Help these mushroom people because they're cool.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Hey, don't talk badly about them.
So have you got any exalteds yet? Have you managed to max out any reps? What was your focus on reputation?
The first I got exalted with was the Scryers for their access to the almost as good as Sapphiron enchants, shoulder enchants, as well as the Scryer's Blood Gem.
Yeah. A
very strong 32 hit trinket with a spell power activation.
Yeah, it's a really nice one, that is.
And I'm already exalted with the Caverns of Time.
Oh wow, that's a good one. It was from your Black Morass spam, I imagine.
Yeah, I think I've done Black Morass like 14 plus times.
Wow,
that's not even a lot, based on what I've seen some people go for.
Yeah, I mean, Black Morass is one of those dungeons which is very easy to get in and out of.
Very fast.
Very, very fast, and the rep from the Caverns of Time dungeons is very, very good. I noticed, and the quests that you do, the attunement quests, are also very, very high in rep. I imagine if you had a reputation potion on, you pop that first one. That's 16k rep from one quest.
Yeah. Fun fact: if you start the whole quest chain through a rep pot, you're basically exalted.
Yeah.
Not exalted, you're revered. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, because that is an 8k rep from finishing the attunement to Caverns of Time, the old Hillsbrad foothills, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the mid quest gives 3k and the final quest gives 8k.
Yeah.
So you double both of those.
22. Is that right? No. Yeah, 22k.
Yeah, you're revered. You do, I think it's 7 more Black Morass runs or something like that. Maybe it's like 7 or 11. It's like less than 15, and you're already exalted.
Which is crazy.
You could do it in a day.
Is there anything good
so easy
from Caverns of Time? What are the good items that you get from doing that rep?
They have a 34 spell power set of bracers.
Ooh.
Which is pretty solid. They have a very good dagger for all of our local Mythic players. They have a sweet tabard.
Yeah, the tabards are really cool. I do like the tabards.
And they have the tanking arcanum.
Oh, okay. So that's the shoulder enchant, isn't it?
No, they have the head enchant.
Oh, head enchant. Sorry, yeah, my bad. Yeah, the head enchants. Yeah, I've noticed a few of those. So my focus really was on a hold rep to get the dagger.
Oh, the dagger's so good.
Or is it a dagger or is it a sword? I can't remember.
It's a sword, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
That with crit and spell power, that's a really, really nice reputation drop there. I'm trying to think. Oh, what else? So I've got On a Hold done. I did that this morning via questing, and I've got Scryers, and I think that's it for now. I think the rest of them are just revered.
Yeah, I have not yet exalted any of them, but mostly they're all revered.
Yeah.
So by probably end of day today, I'll probably try and get every single one of them exalted.
Yeah, and like we said, with a reputation potion, that's fairly easy to do.
Yeah, so the best strategy is to do a bunch of quests, and just before you hand them all in, and just before you do any dungeons or in between dungeons, while you have the rep pot running, just go and hand them all in.
Yep. Yeah, agreed.
And you could do the same thing for experience if you're trying to level as well.
Yeah, I don't know
Wait
about
till
you.
you're done. What?
I don't know about you, but I'm doing about an hour of Shattered Halls after this podcast is over.
Get that rep pot on.
Yeah.
Hit up normal. Finish it nice and quickly. Get that sweet reputation. Do you think that the reputation potions were introduced too early? Do you think it's trivialized things in terms of the grind, or are you happy that it has done that?
I do think that it's trivialized it a lot actually. And maybe they should have waited a little bit, but unfortunately, they kind of just said we'll enable reputation pots when all of the exalteds have been hit. So like their hands were tied. Maybe they should have been. This is gonna sound weird, but if they could like make it work on specific content, that would have been optimal. So, for example, when Karazhan comes out, it doesn't work in Karazhan, but it works everywhere else.
Oh, like how war buffs disabled when you went into the new raids.
Yeah, stuff like that.
I'm fine with that.
Because I think once you get there, I mean, I know Karazhan gear is notoriously bad.
They could have made it better.
They could have done. It's going to be a lot of disenchanting, I think.
The problem was, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the gear in Karazhan was itemized before TBC was even like a super big clan.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
And that's because Karazhan was the first designed raid, and like they realized it wasn't going to be ready, so they kind of like panicked and threw Molten Core together in a week, and they're like, "Wait, everyone loves this."
Yeah, from my understanding, it was done like that. Sorry, Aidalas, go on.
No problem. It was planned to be a vanilla raid because I believe they had levels up to like 95, but they scaled that back down to 60. Like I said, yeah, we know the history of Karazhan, but so does Ascension, and they could have went back and said, "Hey, listen, we want to make people have some sort of inkling and a chase item. We want them to chase tiers." So they could have just made them a little bit better, and I guess specializing them would be a bad way for a classless server. But the way that they did Nax, I think, was fine because it was kind of general in terms of the gain.
Do you think if they did change them and they were better, we would not be farming as much spellcloth as we are right now?
Not for tier 4. So like if you had crafted, it should last you into like 5 and 6 until you're like fully like I don't need this anymore. But it should be a mix of heroic and like raid gear that you should be using.
Okay.
Not just like I'm just gonna stick to blues, do Kara, and then disenchant them all because they're bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the plan for everyone, isn't it? At the moment, with a lot of the Karazhan gear.
But when are they gonna let me get heroic Spellfire gear and never need raid gear from any raid for the entire expansion?
Oh boy,
that is one thing which I noticed and I didn't think had been publicized. Actually, was the fact that random affixes have been removed from crafted gear again.
That's for the best.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. I just hadn't seen that publicized.
What, you don't like your Titan forged
Yeah.
Spellfire gear?
No, I was looking forward to getting. Is it of healing that gives you the massive spell power bonus? I can't remember which
No,
affix it is that gives you the big spell power ones.
no, we be in TBC now, so we get those TBC we get of the Invoker, so it gives
Ah,
an additional int spell power and crit rating.
yeah.
You
I
know,
wanted one of those.
can't you? Don't you want to get excited to make 90 Spellfire chess pieces until you get the one with the right affix?
People will
That
get it first
sounds
time. Sell it for like 30K.
that sounds like a loot casino nightmare.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
yeah. Let's do it.
Honestly, if they kept it towards crafted items and not in raids, I'll be fine with it.
It's something you can actively farm for. Well, not actively because obviously you've got the cooldowns, but I don't know. I think maybe later on in the expansion, sure, it's something that they could add in, but yeah, I'm kind of glad it's gone because you're right. Some people will just have a innate advantage over others based on a random roll of a dice. Um,
Like, I imagine that's something they would bring in maybe like when season 6 is looming on the horizon, maybe even season 7. Because they didn't bring that in until midway through vanilla. Speaking
yeah,
of things, I think they should have waited, like with the whole flying situation. I feel like if they introduced flying tomes like a month into the expansion, or like maybe the announcement of the first season, because I don't think those like hurt that game too much, that game mode, but and they seem perfect for it. But at the same time, uh if they waited a month here, like all of the people who would want epic riding would have already have it, which means they would have had the month of economic advantage.
yeah. No, yeah, going back to the epic writing thing, I do think that they should have waited to add it to the store and let people use up their gold. Um, what were we discussing previously? Sorry, I got distracted by
Uh,
a comment.
we were talking about affixes on crafted gear.
Yeah, that's right. What was I going to say? Yeah, I'm very glad that there's no Titan forging and random affixes on raid gear. That is for sure.
Again, we're not giving Ascension ideas, please.
No, well, that would be true wildcard mode there, really, wasn't it? That'd be season 6 or 7 or whatever they're on now. Completely random gear with random stats.
Nah, I think the next league or season should be like, and I know Eps hates it when I bring this up. Uh, there are no more raid drops. In fact, all raid drops are now patterns, and all materials drop from raids and such, and you craft your own raid gear.
That would be quite cool.
I only have a problem with that because it's going to make certain chase items way more acquirable, because instead of just burning all of your material on black ash robes from BWL, you're just gonna save all of your stuff until you can make DFTs, or in our case of TBC, Dragon Spine trophies.
Hmm.
Or, and then when you finish heroic Gruul's Lair, you're gonna get heroic gem insert and make uh heroic Dragon Spine trophies.
Yeah, but you would need the previous one to make the heroic one.
The point still stands, is that like it would make getting the individual pieces of best loot easier, unless they made them so annoyingly hard to craft that you had to basically craft everything else first.
I mean, sure, but that, like I said, could be a seasonal or league thing.
Yeah, it's a hypothetical for another time.
Going back, well, not going back to, but talking about something which they have added to instances and drops. Have you seen any of the sigils drop yet from the bosses?
No.
No. Maybe
Yes.
you have.
You have?
Yeah, we've had a one drop in the middle of Blood Furnace. It seems to be very popular, the Hellfire Channeler. But the big one that I've seen drop is the final boss of I think it's Underbog.
Oh.
The bog
Black
creature.
Stalker.
Yeah, And let's just say a lot of pets didn't receive the scrubbing required to like remove certain effects from them.
What do you mean?
Uh, he makes like this like weird slurpy noise every time he moves, and he just never stops.
Oh, I want that
great.
now.
So he's perpetually thirsty.
He's just like, excuse me.
So, did you say that one of the trash drops is dropping? I didn't know trash drops dropped these sigils. So, for those who don't know, sigils are pets, non-combat pets, that are effectively the model of whatever dropped them. And you're saying that trash mobs are dropping them now as well? Has that always been a thing?
I think it's above. I think it's like. I believe in the files they have them for like many creatures. I think this one dropping's an accident.
Right.
Either that, or maybe the unit you kill becomes a mini boss in heroic, and it just happens to be dropping in normal blood furnace.
I don't know.
That's the only thing I can think. But that's the only one I've seen as an example. Of where it's like a trash mob dropping it.
Yeah. So I think we got really lucky because on our second or third Ramparts run, we managed to get the drop from the last boss, Omor. So I've now got a mini Omor, which is the first sigil I've got. I used it straight away. I didn't try and sell it.
Honestly, the one sigil I do want, I guess two. One would be Murmur.
Yeah, Murmur's cool.
Murmur looks sick.
I would like Murmur, and I think one of the Ebon Drakes from Caverns of Time.
Yeah. What's it called? What's the last guy called? Epoch Hunter.
Yeah.
He's got a very cool model, so having that as a little pet follow you around would be really, really nice.
Especially if you're a shadow player like yourself, you go in shadow form. He looks, like your little underling next to you.
Yeah. Sadly, I've left the shadows behind me. I'm a fully fledged half cat, half man, Wrath Flinger. I got 14k Wrath crit today, which was quite nice.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I'm like a little cannon when I go into a solar eclipse.
So, do you switch into Boomkin then?
No, it's an extra GCD. I don't, because Boomkin doesn't provide any bonuses to Wrath damage anymore. I don't use it.
It does have 2 talents that take a total of 5 talent points that give 2% nature damage while in Boomkin form.
No, I've dropped those just because I can get an extra Wrath off in that time, which is on average 7 or 8k damage.
Okay, so fair enough.
Because my window's quite short on my solar eclipse, I want to maximize the amount of damage I'm doing, and I have suggested that they add in something that either allows you to cast Rip in Moonkin or cast Wrath and Starfire in cat form. So Claws. I don't know if you do know Claws of Chivalra from Warlords of Draenor.
I never played that expansion.
Do you know Eps?
No, please explain.
So it was a final tier talent that allowed you to cast certain spells whilst in cat form, and it replaced your cat model with like a half man, half cat, similar to the ZG Trinket proc. Do you remember that one where you turn into like a tiger man? It's like that all the time, and you can cast things like Cyclone and Heals whilst in cat form. So I asked them to make that as a legendary random enchant where you can cast Wrath and Starfire in cat form. And they said that they're looking into it, so I'm hopeful.
But when's the Bazaar token in incarnations of random RE special forms?
What do you mean?
You gotta have DLC for your DLC.
Jeez. Again, don't give him ideas.
So that's something which we can talk about, actually. They have added in new form transmogs, in a way, haven't they? With the Glyph of Stars and the healing Glyph of Stars that allows you to show your character model whilst in Boomkin form. And tree form, which is quite nice because a lot of people are running boomkin form and tree form now because they are the better states to be in, regardless of what spec you are as a caster or a healer. So it is nice that they have got a way of hiding those ugly models.
You don't like chicken?
I do. I don't like big hairy chicken ass on my screen 24/7.
That's okay. We all don't have to have good opinions.
I think they're fine.
I just wish they added them in store, like in the game, as a way to buy them.
Maybe we can suggest them to do as a gold dump.
Yeah, I think they should. Yeah.
Or, if you want to make it a little more spicy, you could make them like rare drops off of Anzu.
That would be nice.
I mean, you're going to be farming your Raven Lord mounts anyway, right?
Yeah.
Give people a reason to keep coming back.
Or, when they introduce Mythic, because if I remember, Mythic for them would just be cosmetic and achievements. That's pretty much it.
Is that right?
Because we asked them, like, would Mythic be like better than just doing heroics or raiding? They said no. It would just be like something for you to challenge yourself. So to me, that sounds like more cosmetic stuff to drop, like cosmetic items, just so you can transmog. So that would be like your achievement, your like, cool look, I guess. They could add stuff like that to it.
That would be very good if they're going down the cosmetic route and importing custom cosmetics. Then I'd really like to see that, because having those ways to flex on people that isn't just better gear is always nice.
Joke's on you. My transmog is naked. I'll flex like that any day.
What race are you?
Undead.
Oh god, okay.
I mean, I don't think that undead are really known for their modesty.
Yeah.
Listen, undead females is the best race, okay?
Whatever you say, buddy.
So is there anything else that you think we need to discuss about level 70 gameplay? I mean, farming primals and stuff, how are you getting on with that? I spreadsheeted it. I think it's like 84 to get a full set of Spellfire and Spell Strike Primal
For one
Fire.
person.
For one person, Primal Fire.
I took the unfortunate liberty, I think day 2, to farm 71 Primal Fires and hated it.
Holy moly. That's a lot. Just for are these for yourself, or is that for the guild?
That's for myself. Helping them get their things together takes time later.
Yeah.
I can't help others until I help myself.
Wow. So how? Without giving too much away, if you don't want to, whereabouts did you do the farming, and how long did that take?
Plateau. Standard. That's like the standard go-to TBC location. This was before they removed PvE power from next year.
Yeah.
I just pull as many as I could together, and then spam Holy Nova until I died or they died.
Yeah. And how long would it take to farm out something like 70 odd primals?
More time than I'm happy to admit.
Yeah, because that's something most casters will have to do if they want to get their best in slot gear.
Either that or open up your wallet.
Yeah, true. That's a gold sink, isn't it? Well, not really, because it's going to other players, but you know what I mean. You're going to be losing a lot of gold if you buy it all, because they're like, what, 100 gold each at the moment for primals?
I'd imagine that fires, you need the most of them, but they're also not the hardest to farm, so it's really weird to see what their prices will stabilize as.
Yeah. No,
many primal fires.
Yeah, I've got around 15, I think, primals fires now, to try and feed my alts, and yeah, it's one of those things which I think I'm going to do in part. I'll do a little bit now, and then I'll wait until I'm low, and then I'll do a little bit again, and then finish up the last bits for the actual crafts themselves when I get to that point. What about you, Aidalas? Have you started the grind?
I have not. I've been just doing what I kind of wanted to do, which is just dungeon grinding and getting my rep up. In terms of farming primals and such, not so much.
Yeah.
I feel like it's way too many people there already.
True. There's a lot of people because like obviously TBC has been out for 12, 13 years. People know what to do. And farming primals is one of those things that people know that they need to do. So it's going to be super populated trying to find a spot and a time to actually go in there and get your materials, isn't it?
That's actually why I did it very early. Is because I knew that a lot of players wouldn't be 70, and for those who were 70, not all of them could afford epic flying. So I took the opportunity to get it done before I could receive very much competition.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. Very good way of doing it. Have in your experiences in your guild, have you noticed a massive leaning in terms of one direction on the Shatrath factions? Do you have anyone going Aldor, basically?
We got two people
we
going
do.
Aldor.
Oh, okay. Why?
One of them's going it because they believe the enchants are better for some reason, and the other one's doing it to be a contrarian.
Right.
So in either case, neither of them are doing it for a great reason, but you know.
Because I've noticed that the arcane tomes are in hot supply, whereas the fell armaments are they drop a lot, and nobody seems to want them. So if you're leveling up and you want to go Aldor, then you are in luck because there's going to be a hell of a lot of stuff for you.
However, the fact that one of them's super one-sided does mean that switching, that if you want to do the feat of strength where you get both to exalted at one point, is actually quite easy because you can just really easily buy, well, easy quote unquote, because you can buy all the Aldor stuff, and then you can just farm the Scryer stuff later.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And is that something that you can do? I wasn't sure if you could switch. Can you go from Scryers to Aldor and have them both? Does the feat of strength require you to have them both at exalted?
No, that's impossible.
I was going to say, yeah.
There's a small quest you can do. I believe it's outside of Shatrath, where you like farm like basilisk eyes or something.
Yeah,
depending on which side you're going to, and you can very slowly get your rep back up.
Right.
I presume things like reputation pots work with it, to make it much easier. But once you get to the point where you can turn in like arcane tomes,
yeah, it's gonna rock it up.
It would be really easy. I would, however, warn those who want to do it. There is a midsection where you are unable to use any banks in Shatrath because you are not neutral or better with with either faction. So it's the kind of thing where if you're gonna do it for whatever reason, commit to it.
I wonder if there's a title or an realm first achievement for getting that done. I'm surprised we haven't seen anyone try it yet. I haven't seen the market for Basilisk guys blow up yet. Yeah. So what else is there going on at level 70? I haven't seen any PvP or BGs at all. Or world PvP. I think everyone's been fairly quiet on the world PvP front. Everyone seems to just be getting on with what they're getting on with because there's so much to do. Have you been ganked or noticed anyone ganking?
I actually got killed about 10 minutes ago. Somebody took my Primal mana location.
Oh no.
So I just went to a different location that I know of that's much worse, but okay. I'm not really a PvPer, and the guy clearly had a PvP spec. So I just decided that it's better to cut my losses and not waste both our times.
I mean, you could have just farmed with him.
Yeah, but then you got to share. And who likes sharing?
Yeah, but he's a horde player.
What is that supposed to mean?
Orcs can't read.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile,
you played orc at one point?
Orcs. Yeah, and then I learned how to read, and I became not an orc. It's really that simple.
Sprouted a beard and shrunk a few feet.
Well, he did what
race.
he did what Thrall did in that one game where he just turned into a dwarf.
What game was that?
Was it like a Warcraft Adventures? It was a point and click that they had in development.
Oh, I don't know. I have
He-
no
he-
idea.
Epps knows because I always bring it up because it's funny.
Order the Clans, that game sucks.
You
But
can actually play it now. It's freeware.
but they
Okay.
killed Deathwing with like a cake or something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Poison him.
he poisoned a cake and Deathwing ate it and he died. So canonically, Thrall did kill Deathwing. It's just in
That
different
game's
manners.
not canon.
Yes, it is. They made it.
That should have been a little Easter egg in Cataclysm.
It's better than him holding up a golden disc and killing Deathwing. Come on.
Yeah, he
I
should
mean-
hold up a golden cake. And feed it to the angry dragon.
You know, I'm glad you just referred to as one of the most powerful relics in Warcraft history as
The
a
golden
golden disc.
cake. It is a golden disc. Come on.
Just a big dinner plate, really, isn't it? Right, we're getting very off topic, so I think we should head to any questions. If there's anyone in the chat that has a question, we will answer that now. This is the first time we've done it live, so we can't actually have live questions. So if there's anything out there, please do let us know, and we'll try and answer it to the best that we can. What have we had going throughout this stream so far?
Let's see. I think I snipped some questions and statements.
Yeah, you did. I'm just trying to scroll through. So have I done my Karazhan or Tempest Keep attunement quests yet? And this is the same for you guys. I have. Oh, this was asked by Zach. I have done part of my Tempest Keep attunement quest, and I haven't started my Karazhan quest yet. It's on my list of things to do, and I just haven't got round to doing it. What about you guys?
I'll start Karazhan a little closer to the actual release date.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually take very long, especially if you have multiple people in your guild. There's like, hey, let's go get a tune for Karazhan.
In my opinion, it's a hot take, but anyone with Atia should be automatically attuned.
Are you just trying to say you don't want to do the quest line?
No, I'll do it. It's just like, we have the staff. Just
I think there's an Easter egg in Black Morass if you have the staff, or maybe it's if you enter Karazhan wielding it.
Maybe that,
Oh.
yeah. I think it's that, because I think you get a whisper, don't you, or something? Or when you go into
The Shade of Iran.
Yeah, he mentions the staff. I think that's correct. I did notice because when we were doing Black Morass spam, I was doing it with Junior. I was like, hey Junior, this guy's got your staff. What are you going to do about it? Yeah, are there any other questions?
Let's see. I think I copied. Let's see. Oh, tomes to give epic writing. Tomes. What about Ascension tomes to give like epic or legendary REs for Marks of Ascension?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was added. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 6,000 marks of Ascension for an epic and 10,000 for a legendary random enchant.
Last time I checked, it was 1,000 for an epic, but they seem a little overpriced.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they're taking into account that quests are now enabled.
Well, those quests were not in the game before that, so
Yeah, I'm thinking they're over complicating things by just saying, "Hey, remember those marks that you could have gotten? Can't get it now."
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things which now they've retroactively added. Those people who didn't do it are going to be at a big disadvantage. Question from John Green. What faction should I focus on for an Agi-based hunter-type build? Faction? I don't think that matters, really, does it?
Lower City is a very good one.
Oh,
for you to get
sorry.
involved
I was thinking Horde or Alliance. I was thinking what?
I was thinking both actually.
Lower City will get you an Arcanum that gives attack power and hits. That's very strong for your headpiece. As well as the dungeons you have to grind have some good gear there for you as well. I believe the final boss of what is it? I know the final boss of Ashwani Crypts has a decent headpiece. There's pretty good gear overall in dungeons like Sethek Halls and Shadow Labs.
Yeah,
If you don't have Atlas Loot, the add-on install, I highly recommend it so you can check yourself.
Yeah, and see what factions give what.
there's also floating out there databases on pre-BIS tier 4 stuff going out, so I think that'd be a great list to go by, especially because they are itemized for certain specs. So like if you're a fire mage, whatever.
Yeah.
But hunters are pretty much just hunters, given the fact that you have to like specialize just like cats into one talent tree.
It's very much class masked, isn't it?
Yeah, so you could look at things that would normally benefit hunters, for like marksmen and whatnot, and just kind of chase after those. Um, all things considering, Agi's pretty much your main stat, and that's about it.
Yeah. We got another question. I'm sorry, I don't know how to speak Russian, so I don't know how to pronounce your name. But how to farm REs now? Scarlet Monastery Cathedral Works. So REs now are slightly different from before, and in terms of farming them and getting specific random enchants that you want, I think the best way to do that is probably just to ask in world chat and look to buy them direct. Otherwise, you just need to roll them on items using runes or gold, and then extract them using mystic extracts. Sorry, Epsilon, carry on.
I'd say he actually has a pretty good point. Where if you want to just farm them on gear, because you either don't have the time, money, or you have the time but you don't necessarily have the money or the knowledge, running basic like classic dungeons, such as Scarlet Monastery, are good choices, especially since you can run one of each wing without incurring instance locks, because all 4 parts of Scarlet Monastery are considered one instance.
Oh, that's interesting.
You might not find everything you want that way, but you'll be able to find a lot of REs.
I mean, but a lot of them will be on greens, won't they? Because you can only extract them if they're on blues.
Sure.
Yes, but like for example, this is a little less effective now that double loot is gone. But when I was farming for sigils in Scarlet Monastery, there's like a rare spawn in Graveyard that always drops 3 blues. You can kill, Whitemane, Mograine, and Fairbanks, and they'll drop some items. You get 6 blues that way based on the way it used to work. Now you get 3. But like you can also clear all 4 instances in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So like that's a couple dice rolls.
Yeah, especially now that we're 70,
Yeah,
they'll
a lot
do
quicker.
no damage.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. That's a good point. I didn't think of that. I normally just see if I can buy it straight out. That's the way I go about doing it.
But yeah, Scholar would be the, I guess, optimal. If you're not looking to like trade it with other people, you could if they're just like sitting in your party with you, and you can trade it that way based on the, because you're in the party, you can trade items. Other than that, this is pretty much just for yourself.
Yeah.
You could also run things like Dead Mines if you wanted.
I would have thought Dead Mines would have a lot lower blue drop rate than something like Scarlet Monastery.
There's like 6 bosses, which is okay. The only thing with Scarlet Monastery is all of the wings are extremely short, which is why it's probably more optimal. I would stick to things that you can solo, maybe not anything harder than Maraudin.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay, well, we've covered quite a lot today. I think we should sign off and look forward to the next episode. So thank you guys very much for joining me today. Let's carry on farming out these reps, farming out our heroics, and see what situation we're in a few weeks' time. Thank you guys very much, and I will see you very soon.
Thank you for having me. Later, guys.